fight, which is scheduled between Matthew Semelsberger and Preston Parsons. So in this fight, guys, Matthew Semelsberger is, kind of struggling a little bit in his recent UFC run, right? 5-4 in the organization. And you look at the recent run, it hasn't been so good, right? He started off pretty hot, win over Carlton Minus, win over Jason Witt, 4-1 in his first 5 fights. But since then, right, we've seen lost to Uros Medic in his most recent fight, got finished there, got TKO'd. Kind of a bad look because Uros Medic, not a guy who's very proficient on the ground. So it seems like Semelsberger could have had a path to getting takedowns and looking for some opportunities there, like a Jalen Turner has, like a Mirtabek Oralbai, a guy from a weight class down was able to do. And so I think that was kind of an indictment of Semelsberger's brawling style. And you look at his striking on the feet, he went out there against Jeremiah Wells, had a close fight. The takedown defense didn't really hold up in that one. Against Jake Matthews, got the win, courtesy of a bunch of knockdowns. I mean, the thing that you have to note about Matthew Semelsberger is his incredible knockdown rate. I think he's had like 10 knockdowns in 9 UFC fights, right? So he's definitely doing something right with the power, but he also fought a pretty low level of competition. Martin Sano, Jason Witt, Carlton Minus. I mean, these just aren't very high level UFC guys for sure. And he did not finish Carlton Minus, but he did finish Jason Witt and Martin Sano with the shocking quickness. So when I'm looking at this matchup in particular, I think that the path for Preston Parsons is obvious, right? He's got to take this fight to the ground and try and get on top of Matthew Semelsberger because when he's on the feet, this guy's taking way too much damage. I think his striking's not there. I think the fact that he wasn't able to finish Evan Elder was a little bit concerning because that's a guy coming up from a different weight class. And you look at the Daniel Rodriguez fight, he got blown out of the water on short notice there. He lost to Trevin Giles. I mean, Officer Trevin Giles is a talented guy, but he's also been on hard times. Struggled a little bit with his chin and some other problems. So losing that fight, dropping the split decision there, I don't know that speaks very well either. So I think that Basel Hafez, that original matchup, I thought Basel Hafez was going to run through Preston Parsons. To tell you the truth, I thought he was going to be stronger. I thought he was going to be the better grappler. So now this is a much more tricky fight for me because I don't think Semelsberger is a great grappler. I think he's kind of deficient in those areas potentially. So this is a curious matchup for me, and definitely one that I'm going to have to tape study a little bit closer. But looking at the record of Preston Parsons, I mean, he's been submitted on the regional scene back in 2017. He got knocked out by Mike Perry back in 2015. We'll forgive that one. Mike Perry's a badass, right? But he hasn't really fought a very high level of competition, fought a lot of guys with losing records as well. So I just don't really know what to make of a guy like Preston Parsons right now. His only win in the UFC, like I mentioned, is over a 155-pounder. So now he's going to be taking on a pretty big guy at 170 in Matthew Semelsberger. And Semelsberger's lost to, fairly quality fighters, Chaos Williams, Alex Morono, Jeremiah Wells, Uros Medic, maybe his worst loss, but he also knocked down Uros Medic in that fight. And looked like he was close to winning it at points, but ended up getting caught. It's a fight game. It's 170 pounds. You could forgive a little bit of that, but I do just think that Semelsberger has some holes in his game. He could be touched on the chin. He could be outlanded. He could be taken down. So couple flaws that make him hard to back at chalk prices for me. And let's just pull up best fight odds because I don't even know what the odds are on this fight. So looking at the odds, I'll mention the odds for all 3 fights that we've discussed so far, just so we all are on the same page here, guys. The best available price on Bruno Ferreira is -120, and that's available on FanDuel Sportsbook. The best price available on Phil Hawes is +105 over on Caesars and BetMGM. As far as Andre Arlovsky and Waldo Cortes-Acosta is concerned, -395 on DraftKings is the best price on Waldo, and +330 on FanDuel Sportsbook is the best price that I'm seeing on Andre Arlovsky. And last but not least, let's find this fight we're talking about right now, which is Semelsberger and Parsons. Semelsberger right now, slight favorite, minus 130, coming in against Preston Parsons, at the plus 110. So short favorite here for Matthew Semelsberger. I lean towards him getting the job done here, but it's also on short notice coming off a couple losses. Maybe that's not ideal circumstances. So I'd have to do a lot more due diligence before I backed him. But I think that this is a curious fight. And I understand why Parsons is an underdog, though. I do have some skepticism about his game and his upside.